Thanks for staying for the Q&A. We got a bunch of good questions from the audience. And I guess without any further ado, since there's no one for me to ask questions to now, I'll bring out the people who made this wonderful film. Come on out. Thanks very much. So we'll go down the line, and I'll have everyone do their own brief introduction, I suppose. The director and creator, Hosoda.
どうも、I'm Hosoda. Film director. Nice to meet you. どうも、今日はいろいろお話ししたいと思います。この作品について。
Yes, I'm looking forward to speaking with you, everybody, about this movie.
And Stephanie Sheh.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Sheh. I adapted the English language script, and I co-voice directed with Michael Sinterniklaas, your moderator.
And the Crispin Freeman.
Hello, my name is Crispin Freeman. I played the mysterious man, otherwise known as Yuko the dog.
Yes, and I'm Michael Sinterniklaas. I was the voice director, and we recorded at my studio bicoastally in New York and LA. So, thanks. All right, we have a ton of questions, but I wanted to be a little bit greedy and ask a couple that I had. At the American premiere of this film at Animation is Film, a festival that was in Hollywood, the very last question of the very first panel, Hosoda called out a little girl, and her question was, I love the dog, and will there be another movie or story about the dog? So I'm wondering, yes, please, how far into production we are with the Yuko story, Yuko of the future.
USA で舞台をプレミアした時にその最後の質問で女の子に質問してもらったじゃないですか。それで彼女の質問がそのユコがすごい好きでユコのスピンオフの映画作ってくれないんですかって聞いたじゃないですか。それの進み具合はどうですか？
まあモデルになったユッコは今もうちにいて元気でいるので彼女本当はねメスなんだけどね彼女を見ながら今新しいストーリーを考えているところですよ。
Yeah, so the Yuko was modeled after my own dog, and actually she's female in real life. But yeah, so she's still at my house, and I watch her as I when I work at my house. So yeah, I'm still getting inspiration from her for my next film.
Awesome. Okay. I guess I can start taking the questions from the audience now. Oh, I did want to also mention that tonight this film is up for a Best Annie Award. And then later, also Best Screenplay. And Stephanie's also nominated for Best Screenplay for the adaptation. And this film has been nominated for a Best Animated Feature Oscar Award. Yeah, which is really impressive, which doesn't happen that often with foreign language films, and it does on occasion, but in terms of anime, it's the first non-Ghibli film that's been nominated for an Oscar. So that's saying a lot. Yeah.
Was that a question?
I just wanted to talk. Well, how do you feel about all the nominations now?
いろんな賞にもノミネートされてますけど、それについてどう思いますか？
でもねすごいやっぱびっくりしたやっぱりこの映画がやっぱりすごい自分の子供たちをモデルにしたすごいプライベートな映画なのにこんなにゴールデングローブとかアニー賞とかアカデミー賞にノミネートされると思ってなかったから本当びっくりしてますよ。
Yeah, I'm really surprised because like this movie is based off my kids and it's such a personal film to me, but to be recognized for the Golden Globes, Annies, Oscars, it's just really surprising and I have no words.
でもまあすごいそういうプライベートな作品だからこそ何か皆さん見た方の心に響くものになったのかもしれないと思うと嬉しいですね。
But maybe because it was personal, it resonated with everyone's hearts, and if that's true, then it makes me really happy.
Yeah, at the American premiere, Hosoda introduced the film and said, "I'm sorry, nothing happens in this movie." And then you got 3 major awards.
I said. I said before.
All right, I got a question here for Stephanie. How should voice actors prepare for dubbing translated animation cartoons?
Crispin already
Tell
does
me.
it. I want to know.
I want to know.
I want to know your take too. I think that the trickiest thing is the lip flap. But I think the most important thing in terms of dubs is that that we forget that we're dubbing. I always prefer like performance over sync. And now with like digital technology and stuff, sure, do your best to try to match the flap and kind of keep an eye on it. But I would much rather my actors focus on the relationships, the environment, the emotion, than get too wrapped up into the sync part of it. I think that can be a trap, especially for a newer actor who's dubbing. And then slowly as you do more dubbing, you kind of feel the internal rhythm and you kind of get better at it. But I would say at the top, don't put too much focus on that because you'll end up kind of maybe with a stiff performance.
Yeah, and Crispin, you've got a lot of experience in this field. What do you think?
Just a bit. I've been dubbing anime since 1997, so it's been a while. I think that acting dubbing is challenging in the same way that doing musical theater opera is challenging, in that there's a lot of technical requirements and there's a lot of emotional requirements. As a singer, you have to hit the notes and you have to stay in rhythm, but then you also have to put the emotion into the song. And so there's a similar coordination that happens when dubbing, because you have to match the lip flap and you have to deal with this technical thing, which is very demanding, which if you freak out and you're not experienced with it, can just overtake your performance and there's no emotion. And so the challenge is figuring out, okay, how do I find emotional reasons to either speed up or slow down my performance to match what's going on? Or is there another way we can write this line so that it's going to work better? And so once you figure out that coordination, it becomes like riding a bike. And those of us who have done dubbing for a while, it starts to become second nature. It looks like magic. It's like we're making dishes without looking at the recipe anymore. But we've built up those instincts so that we can do it better. But it's very much, whenever you hear a dub that's not good, it's because the actor is struggling with the technical side and they don't know how to juggle that many balls at once. And when you work out that technical coordination, then you can allow the emotion to come back in.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny, directing it for so long, that's something that I always have to introduce a new actor to, whether it's a celebrity or a child or just a new actor that has never dubbed before. Forgetting the technical side and trusting everything as an actor is a huge component to that.
And what's also amazing is I found, like, if I have a line that I'm having a lot of trouble with and my technical actor is trying to solve the problem, I have to relax and go, no, yeah, but what do I want? I have to go back to sort of emotional acting basics, and then suddenly magically it all times out well. It's amazing how once you've done your homework and then you rely on sort of more emotional acting instincts, suddenly things line up properly.
Right, as if by magic. Know your basics, absolutely. And both of our parents were in opera, so maybe that's a good place to fight. The children of opera singers are good for...
It made me used to watching entertainment in other languages.
Yeah.
Right? It was not a problem watching a story in Italian or German or Japanese or whatever. It didn't seem so strange to me.
Though German sounds a little funny sometimes with it. My mom loved Mozart's music, but preferred Puccini's words. Anyway.
Sure, understandable.
I got a question here for Hosoda. What do you find to be the biggest difference between American animation and Japanese anime?
そうね、なんだろうね。
His
Yeah,
question.
I
It's a good question.
wonder.
そうね、でも基本的にやっぱり僕なんかすごくやっぱりアメリカのアニメーションの影響を受けてるやっぱりディズニー、90年代のディズニーの作品がすごく好きなので、やっぱりその影響を受けてるから僕自身はあんまりすごく違うとは思わないけどな。でもやっぱり違うよね。やっぱり CG と手書きってことがちょっと違うかな。
Yeah, I wonder what the difference is because, I love U.S. Animation, especially I was really influenced by the 90s Disney animated feature films. So I personally do not see a big difference, but I guess the question is asking about maybe the difference between hand-drawn animation and CG animation, which is the current trend.
That's a good point. The question was just about the difference between the different styles or approaches to the animation. There is a lot more CG, I think, now in US animation.
そうですね、やっぱりなんだろう、アメリカのスタジオのやり方。
Feature animation, at least.
でもね、そうそう、それはね、すごく前にピクサーのスタッフと話したんだけども、やっぱりこうアメリカのスタジオはみんなすごくたくさんの人で作る、設計図、ストーリーボードもたくさんの人で作るけど、日本は一人で書くのよ。僕も一人で書くし、宮崎さんも一人で書いてる。でもアメリカのアニメーションはストーリーボードをみんなで書く、脚本もみんなで書くし、監督も何人もいたりするでしょ。やっぱりその違いはすごくあると思うね。
Yeah, so when I went to go to Pixar and talk to their staff, like they were telling me about like how USA Studios it's just a lot of people work on that one feature animation. Like, there's a lot of people storyboarding, when in Japan it's usually done by one person. Like I personally do it by myself, and Miyazaki also does it by himself. But like, there's so many people storyboarding, but there's also so many people working on the script. There's even like multiple directors for one feature film. So maybe that is a big difference.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I've got another one here. What was the most difficult scene to shoot and why?
一番難しかったシークエンス？
でもやっぱりこうご覧の通り4歳の男の子がリアルに描くアニメーションって描く機会ってなかなかないから、その4歳の男の子のリアルさってを描くのがすごく難しかったんですよね。やっぱりこう観察して、みんなアニメーターで観察して抱っこしてデッサンして髪の毛触って柔らかさ確かめてっていう、そういうことが大変でした。
Yeah, so not a specific sequence that was hard, but it was really about the 4-year-old boy being a protagonist that was really difficult, because we really wanted to portray a 4-year-old boy realistically. So what we did was we brought my children to the studio, and we all observed them to sketch them. But it wasn't just about sketching. We held them. We felt the softness of their hair, like like how tender their cheeks are, how heavy they are, so that we could portray that in the film.
That's so incredible. I always, whenever they first put Mirai down in the crib and you see her glowing face, I can almost like smell baby skin. It's so well captured.
彼はそれを見てもう本当に赤ちゃんの匂いがしてくるようなリアルさを感じる。
そうだよね。だからあれは本当に自分自身もその赤ちゃん見た時にのことを思い出したりとか、やっぱりその僕はやっぱり自分の子供たちがモデルだから、くんちゃんがね、本当に実際その赤ちゃんに接した時にどんな風にこの赤ちゃんを解釈するんだろうっていうのがすごく興味があった。僕らはほら赤ちゃんだから大事にしなきゃと思うけども、子供はまだそういうこと分かんないから、どうやってこの存在、赤ちゃんっていう存在を受け止めるんだろうっていうことをちゃんと見てる方にも伝わるように、やっぱりしっかりと描写しなきゃ、柔らかさとか色とかそういうのを。
Yeah, like when I was also working on this film, I was remembering how I felt when I first brought my newborn baby, my girl, to my house, and then also like I was really curious about how Kun's how my boy's reaction would be to our newborn baby, and so I really wanted to make sure that the audience would also feel that curiosity on how Kun would react to Mirai. So that's why we really wanted to make sure that we got the everything right, like the not textures of children, but how they are. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, here's a question. Let's see. How did you enter voice acting professionally? Let's start from the end.
God. I started out as a theatrical actor, so I actually got started in opera as a little kid at the opera, being an extra supernumerary at the opera, and then in high school started acting, in college, and actually went to grad school for acting. But ever since I was very young, I always had a passion for Japanese animation. It took a while. It took until I was about high school that I realized that all my favorite cartoons came from Japan. And then when I got out of grad school in New York City, I was watching anime just for my own personal artistic satisfaction. And a fellow actor of mine caught me watching anime and said, "Hey, do you want to work on the English dubs?" And back then I said, "No, I don't. They're not very good." But then I realized that all my favorite shows that I watched were dubbed, and I wanted to make those dubs better. And so I changed my mind. I called him back, said, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to make the industry better. And so I called him up, and he put me in touch with a studio that was working on a couple little shows like Pokemon and whatnot. And so I ended up working on a bunch of different anime shows in New York City, and I was actually acting on Broadway at the time. And I was more excited about working on anime than I was about being on Broadway. And so I thought, maybe I should pursue this animation thing. And then around 2000, 2001 actually, moved out to Los Angeles to pursue voiceover in animation and games and anime more full time.
Stephanie?
I mean, it's my story is like kind of related in the part that like I had watched anime and then I thought these dubs are not very good. and I was like a young actor at the time doing some sketch comedy and local like small tiny theater stuff. And I thought, man, I don't know if I could be good at doing voiceover, but I feel like I don't even know if I can be better than the current dubs, but I feel like I could be at least that good. So I think it took away some of the fear of rejection, I guess, in terms of pursuing that. So that it's kind of related in that way.
The first show when I came to Los Angeles, the first show that I voice directed, which I don't do as often as voice act, I cast Stephanie Sheh in my show because she was so great, and I was so happy to have her. And now, of course, it's completely reversed, where she's constantly casting me in stuff.
And I wonder, Hosoda-san, have you ever been a seiyuu?
俺はそんなんやったことないよ。そんなの。
No, no, of course not. No.
Not a bit part, not like, the extra dad in the station or Evil train?
これはなんか自分でもちろんその録音の時は自分がもう演出するんだけど、自分自身監督だからね。だけども口移しにやってもらうってことはねしないようにしてるんだよね。そうすると下手になっちゃうからね。だから絶対そうやってこう言葉で説明してこんな風な演技してっていうようにしてる。やってみせるってことはしないんだよね。
Yeah, so like of course like during recording like my actors I go in and I direct them, but I try not to read the lines because then they'll be horrible and so I try to explain in words on like how they need to emote. I don't ever line read.
That's good. Line reading is considered a big verboten. No. Yeah.
そうだよね。
Yeah, so it's good directing. And I think my background is something like Crispin's. My background is in classical theater. I went to the Fame School in New York City, and before that I was studying, and then I went to a classical theater conservatory. And I actually was a big fan of anime. I loved that the storytelling was more mature than what I was getting from domestic cartoons, and it wasn't seen as just a children's medium. It was a legitimate storytelling platform, and there were all these. There's a movie called Perfect Blue, Saoirse Cohen film that. Perfect Blue was originally going to be shot as a live action film. Then there was an earthquake, and they thought, well, we can't shoot this now, but then they decided to just make it an anime. So it's not just a delivery system for children, and I always appreciate
Perfect Blue
that.
is like a creepy thriller.
Super creepy thriller.
Yeah, it's like Hitchcockian sort of.
Yeah. And there's stuff, I won't reveal it, but you should go see it. There's some really cool stuff they do that I think the animation really serves in a way that live action, I'd always wondered, how would they have shot that? But I had the same experience where I thought, wow, why are the dubs not really good? And I kept thinking the basics are so simple. I hear people not knowing who they are or the relationship of who they're talking to or what their history is. So I wondered if I could apply my classical theater training to that. And like we said in the beginning, it comes back to basics a lot of the time. Yep. But then an actor convinced me to crash an audition for Ninja Turtles, and then I crashed it and I got cast as Leonardo by the creator, and that really helped my career. So I guess fortune favors the bold, and there's no one way to do it. Crispin question. You've had a long history working in various medium. What advice to actors when approaching this type of material? And do you bring a different style of acting to it?
Okay, so for those who may not know, because I've been working in anime and animation and video games for over 20 years, I go to conventions, and the most common question I get is, how do I get started as a voice actor? And so I don't like giving little pithy answers in only 30 seconds that aren't terribly useful. So I've actually created a podcast that I've been running for like the last 7 years. I think I'm up to 145 episodes, called Voice Acting Mastery. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of voice acting and whatnot, you can check out the podcast, free download. I also offer classes in LA on how to work on anime, specifically to do this dubbing. If we're talking about anime in particular, I think I talked a little bit about the notion of your coordination of technical and emotional actor. That's sort of the mechanics of how you do it. But the other thing that I try to bring when I'm working on Japanese anime is understanding the culture and where it's coming from. Part of being able to give the emotional performance that feels authentic is to understand the sort of Japanese culture of where something is coming from. I don't speak a lot of Japanese. People think, oh, should I learn the language? You can, but you don't need to. It's far more important to understand the cultural sensibility and the mindset of the characters and why they are doing what they're doing. So like when we are dubbing this, we usually get a preview, which means that they'll play the line I'm supposed to perform, and I'll have the script in front of me, and I'll watch the lip flap of the character. And there's two things going on when I'm watching that preview in Japanese before it's my turn to act. And that is I'm mouthing the words technically to see if it's matching the lip flap, if my rhythm is about what it should be. But the other thing is I'm listening very closely to the Japanese performance to see if I can understand the emotional choices the actor made. And so I go, what are they doing emotionally, and how do I do that? And also, is the decision they made very Japanese? There are certain shows that are very Western in style. You may be familiar with a show called Cowboy Bebop, which is a very sort of Western sci-fi show. And so it feels Western. But if we're doing, say, a samurai epic like Rurouni Kenshin, or something like Mirai, which is very much a Japanese slice of life, you know, they're in Japan, they're not in Kansas, then I need to understand sort of where that's coming from. So when a dog says that he's a prince, not many American dogs would say that, right? Because we don't have a long history of emperors in this country. But in Japan, they do. And so I have to understand what it means when a dog claims that he is a prince. What does that mean to him personally? What sense of entitlement does that give him when he's talking to this young child? And can I portray that authentically and not just send him up as a rich, snooty guy, which is often what Americans think of when they think of royalty. They think, oh, rich snobs. No, listen to little Queen Elizabeth before she was Queen Elizabeth during World War II, trying to inspire her country to fight against the Nazis. You know, she took this huge emotional weight on her shoulders as a young child. So yes, there are rich people who are snobs and there are rich people who aren't. But I have to understand where this dog is coming from in his Japanese notion of his princeliness in order for him to sound authentic.
Yeah, I think cultural sensitivity is a huge thing. I've recommended to a lot of actors they research the culture just a little bit, because if you're and I think one of the problems with a lot of dubbing is they see a result, they're like, well, this guy's acting angry, but they don't justify it. And first of all, playing a result is bad, but also there's so many different reasons why a character would do something in another culture. I feel fortunate my mom was born in Japan, so I grew up being exposed to a little bit more of it than the average white dude, but I've learned so much more by going there. And not everyone can go visit the country they're going to be dubbing something for. But if you just take a second to ask yourself, what would motivate someone in their first order desire to make this choice that seems so foreign to me, so that I can now play it as something less foreign? That's huge.
I think too often we think we can just translate and not deal with the subtlety. Like we can look at a film like Seven Samurai and say, oh, we can remake that as cowboys, and we'll call it Magnificent Seven, and it'll just work exactly the same. But it doesn't really. It doesn't mean the film can't work. Magnificent Seven is a beautiful film. But what motivates a samurai and what motivates a cowboy is very different. And if you don't understand their cultural motivations, you're going to make it taste wrong. You know, like if you buy a French wine, you want it to taste French. You don't want it to taste like it's from Napa Valley, and vice versa, you know? So I'm always trying to give an English-speaking audience as close as I can the same emotional journey that the Japanese audience would have. It's impossible, right? This is, you know, shooting for the stars. That's the challenge of any translation. But that's what I'm going for. I don't want to co-opt. I don't want to change the flavor. I want it to feel Japanese.
Good point. All right, one more for Hosoda-san. Were there any vignettes that got cut from the movie? And any ideas of stories with other family members?
映画でカットされたようなストーリーとか、あと違う家族にベースされた話とかありますか？
まあ本当にその僕の日常を切り取って映画にしてるんで、もうカットされたことはたくさんあるんで、本当はだからあれもっと日常であるのを本当にこう切り取って描いてるのがこの映画なんだけど、だからまあそうですね、もうだからそういった意味で描こうと思えばたくさんあると思うんですよ。でもまあ一つあるのはやっぱりこう大人も小さい時子供で、なんかおじいちゃんとかも小さい時子供でっていうのがなんかこうつい僕らね、大人は最初から大人で子供はずっと子供だって思い込みがちなんだけど、そうじゃなくてやっぱり子供が大きくなってまた子供を育てて大きくなってまた子供を育てて大きくなってっていう、そういうこうなんていうか人生の連なりみたいな大きななんかループみたいなものがこの作品から伝わってもらえたらいいなと思うんですよね。
Yeah, so actually, because this movie is a personal story, there's a lot of things that were cut because there's so many experiences that I had that I wanted to put in, and like I still have a lot of material that I could put into this, make a huge long movie. But what's really important, what I wanted to do was the main thing was not include personal experiences of my life, but to make people realize that adults were kids before, and then their parents were also children before. And so because I think we tend to think as a society like adults were adults to begin with, and like we have all this experience and we know best because from the beginning, but that's not the case, right? We were kids before, and we learned from our experiences and became adults. So our parents or the grandparents were also like that too. So and then their parents were also like that. So you think about it as a whole big loop of cycle of life where everyone could relate to each other as like, oh, we were once children. We learned and grew. So that was really the important part of my movie. So and I think I was able to put it in.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's actually one of the parts I love the most. I think that most misunderstanding between generations is because older people forget what it was like to be a kid. And if they could remember, there'd be a lot more understanding.
A lot more letting me eat cake for breakfast.
So thank you, Hosoda-san.
Yeah, どうもありがとう。でもどうも。
We got one more. This is I was waiting to get to this one. This is a fun one. Do you dream in animation?
これはね、でもね、まあ僕この映画の発想ってもともと自分の子供の夢から来てんですよ。朝起きた時に今日何の夢見たって聞くんだけど、うちの子供が大きくなった未来ちゃんと会った、まだ赤ちゃんなのに大きくなった未来ちゃんと会ったって言って、それお父さんも会いたい、大きくなった未来ちゃんに会いたいっていうのがこの映画のきっかけなんで、やっぱり夢って大事だよね。やっぱりそれがアニメーション映画につながっていきますよ。
Yeah, so actually, I don't really know how to answer that question. I can't remember, but actually, Mirai started with my son's dream. I usually ask my son like, "Hey, like, what kind of dream did you have last night?" Like, I asked him this every day, and then one day my son said, "Oh, I met a grown-up Mirai." Like, even though she was a baby at the time, that's what he dreamed about. And then I was like, "What? I want to meet Mirai when she's grown up too." And so that's how this movie came about.
Wow.
So I really think like dreams are really important because they connect into animated features.
Well, that was a 2-for-1 because the next question was, tell us what the inspiration for the story was. How did it come about? Maybe you're a Hosoda from the future.
次の質問がこの映画のインスピレーションは何だったでもやっぱり
Wow. Do you have a bruise on your hand? Okay.
あざがあるんじゃないか。
でも本当にこのあざも本当で、生まれた時の未来にあざがあって、そのまんまなんですよあれね。
Yeah, so my daughter who is also named Mirai, she had a bruise on her hand when she was born, so then I put that in the movie. So it's sort of like a documentary.
だからね、やっぱりね、赤ちゃんにあざがあると、このあざは何の意味があるんだろう、彼女はどうしてそのあざを持って生まれてきたんだろう、それが僕ら親に伝えるメッセージってなんだろうって、すごい考えちゃうの。
Yeah, so when I saw the bruise on my baby's hand, like I was like, what does this bruise mean? Like, what is it trying to tell us as parents? So I really like came to think about what it was trying to tell us, and yeah.
Is it still there?
まだありましたっけ、あざって。
この映画の中ではずっと大きくなってもあるんだけど、実際の未来ちゃんはね、こうレーザー治療でだいぶ薄くなりましたよ。
Yeah, Mirai in the movie still has the bruise, but we fixed our Mirai's with laser. So it's lighter now.
Stephanie has a bruise from birth. Look, it's right there. What is it trying to tell us, do you think?
でもね、やっぱりあざってあるのはやっぱりこの映画でもそうだけど、どこかその子供がどこかにいなくなった時に、あ、これは自分の子だって分かるようなマークみたいなもんじゃないかと思ったわけ、親としては。だからどれだけ子供がいても、これが例えば未来だとかね、これがステファニーだとかって見つけるためのマークなんじゃないのかな。
Yeah, but I really think bruises are like marks to make sure that, like, not make sure, but like they're marking that they're your children. So like, so they're easier to find. So like you see this bruise and you're like, oh, this is my kid. And then you see this bruise and you're like, oh, this is Stephanie. So that's what I think.
Is it so she can leap through time?
じゃあ彼女も飛びを越えることができる。
そうだと思う。
Yeah, maybe you could leap through time, Stephanie.
All right, we'll move on from bruises. When you're casting, what do you look for?
Him?
Yeah, for the actors, for the voice actors, the seiyuu.
やっぱり人間性が近い人を探すんですよね。とか本当にその役に近い人、必ずしも有名とか無名とかじゃないけど探してます。例えば日本でユッコの役を探すときはやっぱりユッコって動物だからって探して、オーディションの中でね、日本で美女と野獣っていうミュージカルをのガストンをやった人にお願いしました。だからすごくちょっとガストンじゃないや、野獣だよ、野獣をやった人にお願いしました。だからすごくそれがユッコ、犬と近いと思って。
So yeah, I try to choose people who have like a closeness or similarities in the human nature part. So I don't go for like famous or not famous. So for example, for Yuko in the Japanese version, because Yuko is a dog, when I was auditioning people, I happened to come across this actor who, in the musical Beauty and the Beast in Japan, he plays the role of the beast. And because Beast is an animal and Yuko is an animal, I thought he could really bring out that animal side of him.
Speaking of Yuko's, we didn't audition Crispin. We just gave him the role because I thought he would be perfect for him. I mean, we worked together a long time. I know his work. I know that, just the technical aspect, like he would be great. And I think that some people forget that Crispin is very funny because he's so like intelligent and articulate, but the intelligence and the articulateness I think spoke to the part of like him being like, I'm a prince,
Yeah. Stephanie thought he was a dog, and I thought he was a prince, and it was. Yeah, to the point of even on the American side, John Cho, who played the dad, he is a father. We talked a lot about parenting and the various parenting styles between Asia and the United States. And his wife is Japanese, and he's Korean, so we talked about those differences. Rebecca Hall, who played the mother, just had a baby, so this was very fresh for her. And I think actually it really affected her when we had to take breaks in the middle of recording for her to feed. And I think that really brought her back to this, the primary fundamental of being a mother, which was great. And then Daniel Dae Kim, who played the hot grandpa, his story is that his grandfather was the first guy to have a motorcycle in Korea. And there was this whole other side story of him stowing away on a ship and then having to jump off and swim to save his life when they were being attacked. He didn't get blown up and his leg isn't bummed, but he had all the same stories. And there's a picture. He's like, if we cross paths again, I will show you a picture of my grandpa with the goggles on his head looking exactly like the animation. He sat on the couch in the studio going, this is my grandfather. This is unbelievable. So I feel like in the universal story, it really did touch everyone's life. And we found people who were princes, mothers, fathers, and hot grandpas. Let's see. Okay. Hosoda-san, you were nominated for a Golden Globe, and now an Annie, and an Oscar. What was your favorite thing about the Golden Globes, and what are you looking forward to at tonight's Annies and then the Oscars?
やっぱゴールデングローブ、アニー賞、オスカーといろんなものにノミネートされますけど、ゴールデングローブで一番楽しかったことは何ですか？オスカーでアカデミー賞でこれがしたいなとか誰かに会いたいとかありますか？
これね、ゴールデングローブのセレモニーに出てびっくりしたことはみんなお酒をすごいたくさん飲むんだよね。それがでやっぱりこうもう宴会みたいっていうかもう最初のセレモニーからパーティーみたいですごい楽しい雰囲気ですごい幸せな気持ちになりました。
Yeah, so what surprised me the most about Golden Globes is that everyone drinks so much. Like,
シャンパンがこうひっくり返ってこう刺してあるのが何本もあるのよね。
Yeah, there's so many champagne bottles just like, upside down in the ice buckets, like all everywhere, like, because they pass it out like at the red carpet, and then it's at the tables. There's like 2 per table, and then there's a bar. But yeah, so Golden Globes really felt like a huge party, like not more than a ceremony. So it was really fun. I had a lot of fun.
まあでもあとオスカーやねアニー賞はそんなもっとなんかこうなんていうのこうしっかりしたじゃないなんていうの荘厳ななんか荘厳なセレモニーだっていうからそういうことはないと思うんだけど、でもやっぱりアメリカや世界中の素晴らしい映画を作ってる人たちと間近に会えるからそれがすごい楽しみです。僕ゴールデングローブの時にアルフォンス・キャロン監督と会ってすごく光栄だなと思いましたし、まあ今日のアニー賞でもしウェス・アンダーソンが来たらちょっと話をしてみたいし、やっぱりそうやってどうやってみんなそれぞれ映画を作ってるかってことを話し合いたいですよね。
Yeah, but so I'm not worried about the Annies and Oscars about all the drinking because I'm sure it's a more formal ceremony. But what I'm really looking forward to at the Oscars is I get to meet all the filmmakers who make all these films, not just for the United States but globally. And I really want to just discuss on how their process and how they make films. And at Golden Globes, I got to meet Alfonso Cuarón. And it was really an honor, and we got to talk a little bit. And then I'm hoping to meet Wes Anderson this time. But yeah, if we could discuss the topic of filmmaking, that'd be great.
All right. I've gotten the warning, so this is going to be the last question. Though I got to sneak one more question. Rebecca Hall was asking because they were redoing their kitchen. Were the tiles Moroccan tiles in the kitchen in their house? Because she was looking for the same tiles for her kitchen.
レベッカ・ホールさんが今自分のキッチンをレノベーションしてるらしいんですけど、未来に出てくるタイルがモロッコのタイルだったのかって聞いてます。
そう僕レベッカさんの映画何本も見てて本当に素晴らしいよね。出てもらって光栄だけどもタイルはねそうだねすごくこう普通じゃないっていうかその辺に売ってないようなタイルの色合いを出すのにビーツ監督がすごく選んだタイルなんですけど、どこのタイルだろうね。今度聞いておくよ。
Yeah, so actually I love Rebecca Hall. She's in a lot of movies that I love, and it's really an honor that she was in my movie. But so that regarding the tiles, we try to choose a tile that was not normal. It was very unusual looking. So the art setting director, he he found the thing. So I would have to ask him. So I will.
Right. We can put them in touch with each other after this. This is a sweet question. Would you want to meet your own children from the future?
監督は自分の未来の子供に会いたいと思いますか？
でもね子供を育ててるっていうか小さい子供と一緒にいるっていうのは本当にその子供の未来のことを考えながら座ってるっていうことだと思うんですよ。だからやっぱりそれを会うのを目標にして今育てるんじゃないかなっていうでその時間ってすごくも 僕の人生にとって親の人生にとってとても重要で、本当に子供から幸せをもらってるなっていうふうに思うんですよね。これ答えになってるかなこれ。
Yeah, well, I think like spending time with your children or raising your children, you think about the future, that their future, and that's how you implement that the future into raising your child. So it's I'm not really sure I'm answering your question, but it's really important to just spend that time with your children. It's really like a treasure, like because children just bring so much happiness to parents. So I'm sorry I didn't answer the question, but
That was a great answer. Thank you so much.
どうもありがとうございます。